Howdy, folks. I am Doctor McFarland, and we are live on a Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. And a baby turned off my headphone amp earlier today. And that's why I couldn't hear anything in my headphones, because the headphone amp was turned off. So, welcome everybody. I am Doctor McFarland, and we are going to talk about guitars tonight. We're going to talk about some of the new Kiesel news that I have, and fractal news that I have. And we are going to look at some different amp plug-in options that you can use for recording in the studio. Maybe you're just solely a guy that sits at a computer desk and plays guitar. Maybe listens to stuff coming out of his studio monitors. Turn this down a little bit more. I do have the air running in the background just slightly. Otherwise, I will bake like a chicken in Nashville. Hot chicken. And I don't want to sweat in front of you. Yeah, I do have a beverage, which is just water with a great mix poured in there. So it's tasty. Ooh, that's good. I'm still contemplating about my camera position. Right now, this is like me sitting right in front of my screen, but the camera is way over here, which is fine. You can see my Doctor McFarland in the background, which is really cool. But if I want to talk to you, I have to point this way and look straight into that lens. If I move my eyes over here at all, no, I'm not looking at you, I'm looking off to the side, which is not proper manners when you're talking to people. You want to look them in the eyes. So I will have the comments up on the far left of my screen, so it'll just be just slightly off from what the camera view is. So if I'm looking off to the side, that's what that is. And that is a huge pet peeve of mine. If you're wanting to get into YouTube and you're always looking at your viewfinder, so you're looking at yourself, but therefore your eyes are off-centered from your audience, it drives me crazy. But I give grace to people that just don't know, or they're not comfortable talking into a lens like I am right now. Like, I technically can't see anything other than my peripheral vision, just like kind of off to the right. I kind of see myself over here, but I'm looking dead into the lens, which is like the dark abyss of nothingness. But I know there's somebody on the other end watching, so whatever. We do have 4 people watching tonight. I've been doing a lot of soul searching here in the last week or so about guitars, and what do I want to have in my main arsenal of instruments that I use for recording. I don't play out in a band anymore. I mean, I only play at church once a week, if that. At least once a week, maybe a few times a month. So really, I could get away with one guitar, one amp, one pedal board, one head rush, and be perfectly fine the rest of my life. But as a true musician who has to have tons of guitars and things to play with, I'm always buying and selling and swapping things in and out, and all that. So let's talk about the first order of business tonight, which is this. Let me bring up a web page here, and there's a fly up here too, which is slightly annoying. I hear him buzzing around my ear, but he's not getting in my ear because I have headphones on. So take that, fly. Take that. Let me move this stuff around here so I make some room on my screen. All right, so the first order of business, I got an email this week Let me type this in. I got an email saying that the Fractal FM3s no longer are on a waiting list. So that means you can just go directly to the website and you can buy it. So if I go here, yes. I don't know why my video is cut off. I really don't know why that is. See, I'm in half. Why am I in half? Let me check this out real fast. Brightness, settings, camera, mirror, blur effect. That didn't do anything. I do not know why. This is the live program. Where's the preview? Oh, it's actually on the other screen, which I want this to be on my screen here. Sorry, I'm checking something out real fast. If I take that out, I go away, I come back, and I don't know why my thing is in half. Aaron Short, if you're watching, why is my thing in half? Got this fly everywhere. So that's mirroring. So that does that. I can be black and white. Ooh, that looks stupid. Blur effect, but I'm not sure what I'm blurring. Oh, that's what I'm blurring. You can blur things out. I can rotate myself. Whoa. Apply to all. Set as the default camera. Yeah, I don't know why I'm looking like this. There's my sources. There's that. Da da da. Camera effects. Maybe it thinks I'm in interview mode or something. I just don't know. All right, I'm gonna move on. I'll get this figured out by next week. But it's been like this for a few weeks now, so it's annoying. Very annoying. All right, let's move on. All right, so Fractal Land. There we are. All right, so you can click on Shop Now, and it says more power, larger displays, now shipping. So before, it would say, hey, you have to get on a waiting list. Availability, now shipping with no wait list. Usually ships in 1 or 2 business days. So I did order it, I guess, Sunday. So I may get this tomorrow or Thursday or something maybe. And the reason why I'm getting this is it is super small. I can throw it in a backpack. It has XLR outputs. It's literally, I mean, it's just a great overall unit. Let me go to the, maybe do some pictures here. All right, so here's the XLR outs right here, as you can see. It does have a bigger screen, which is, you know, it's cool. It does have a headphone out. Now, I had the first Fractal Soiree I had was the AX8. And that was a pretty good unit overall. Minus the fact that it didn't have scribble strips over the switches. You had to have blocks on your screen, very similar to the Quad Cortex or the Line 6 Helix or the Helix LT. The Helix LT didn't have scribble strips, so therefore you had to have your strips on the screen. It took up space, and you had to switch between different views. It was just weird. But that did not have a headphone amp on it, or a headphone jack. So this has headphone jack on it. And let's see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, this is fine. It does have one, looks like it has one mono input, but it has a also has a stereo input. Yeah, in one, in two, out two. You can hook up the two different pedals with it. There's a fast link, so I could extend it in the future with a FC6 or FC12 if I chose to do so. I don't know why I would need to, but USB, two types of USB ports on there, SPDIF out. And this is huge for me. I do not like wall warts. The smaller headrush units like the Gig Board and the MX5 have wall warts with them. HX Stomp has a wall wart. You know, just most of the smaller units have wall warts, but this one has just a direct, nice and sturdy IEC connection with an on-off switch, like a proper on-off switch. So it has a proper power supply already built into it, and I like that. The second reason why I'm getting this is I currently have the Axe-Fx 3, which is right over here, and I've been doing some content with that here lately. And even though the FM3 only has one amp block, it still has 4 amp channels. So I can have 4 different amps essentially in one preset. And there will be a small gap when I switch between those amps. But when I'm just sitting here recording, that doesn't matter. I'm just going to make my scenes how I want them, or make different presets and then just switch between my different sounds as I record. And I mean, that has just tons and tons and tons of amps, drive blocks, or drive pedals. I really like the Plex delay sound. What am I looking at here? Yeah, Plex delay, multi-delay. They have some really good ethereal ambient type effects that I've really grown to love in the Axe-Fx 3. But this Axe-Fx is a rack unit, and I don't want to have something in a rack all the time. I want to be able to pick it up, put it in a bag with my guitar, and go play at church or something, right? So this would be another way for me to maybe compare Headrush versus Fractal and all that stuff, but I have something small that I can just kind of pack away and not have to have a bigger head with its own carry case and all that different stuff. So I just don't want to deal with all that. So eventually I will, when I get done with the Axe-Fx 3, making this series that I'm working on, I will sell that off and then recoup the money that I spent buying the FM3, and then just pocket the rest and pay off some of these guitars I've been buying here lately. So that is news number 1, is I did purchase the FM3, no wait list. It's going to be great. I know it's still not as much power as the FM9, but there is 10% more power. So there'll be a good test to see what a preset looks like in the FM3 versus the Axe-Fx 3, and how much I can get away with adding into the preset before I start overloading everything. So there is that. So Fractal, you can't buy them through Sweetwater or any other store. You have to just buy it direct, and they do have pretty fast shipping. I did pay about $100 worth of tax, and then about $30-ish for shipping or something. So it's about $1,200 or so after it's all said and done for this small, tiny unit. But it is a Mark II turbo and bigger screens. It'll be interesting learning about the different combinations of what I can do with these 3 switches. I am used to the Headrush MX5, and that only has 3 switches, and I've managed to get around using that pretty well over the years, so I'm not too worried about that. But let's go back to this other screen here, if I can. There we are. So y'all pipe in and ask some questions if you want to. You can see here. Here's the first plugin I'm gonna look at. This is the Scuffum amps or S-Gear plugin. And where's my pick? Right before I went live, I was on Amazon buying some, especially rubber washers that you put over your strap. So it's basically like a poor man's strap lock, to where you don't have to have something like like a Diodario type thing, or a Dunlop type strap system, or all the other types that are out there. Just put a strap over your normal strap pegs, and then put these rubber washers over them, and they stay pretty sturdy. Especially the kind of strap buttons that come on Reverend, and also these Eastmans that I have. And that might be something I can do here in a second. Let me go back to my other screen here. So this is a Gibson Les Paul, obviously. And this top, every time I look at this top, it's just stupid how amazing it is. Earlier today, I did take off the pick guard, so it reveals more of the top. And I also took off the little switch cover that says rhythm and treble on it. So I took that off because this thing kept getting loose and it wasn't staying tight, and I wasn't able to tighten it down the way I wanted with that little cover on. So I took that off, took the pick guard off, and now you see more of the top, which is really what you want to see anyway, right? Ooh, wow. It's just amazing. When the light hits it in different angles, you see the grain in different ways. And really, when I saw it on reverb, it was like this kind of angle. But as you turn it, it just pops right out. So there you go. I've contemplated selling this multiple times, just because it was expensive, and there's other things I want to buy. But at the end of the day, I've had my Epiphone Sheraton for about 23 years, and it's still going strong. So I need to pick guitars I'm gonna keep for life, and just keep them for life. And I can play around with some other things. I can try this one out, then resell it and stuff like that. But I need to really hone in on my collection, and just say, you got to have a Gibson Les Paul. You have to have some kind of Strat. You have to have some kind of Tele type guitar, right? You don't have to, but there's just certain styles of guitars that are good to have in your arsenal. Because maybe you're going to be in a music video, and they say, "Hey, do you got a Les Paul?" And either you have one, or you don't have one, and you have to borrow one from a friend or something. So it's just good to have. Or if you're going out for a country gig, they kind of expect you to have a Telecaster of some sort, Or if you're playing blues or rock or something, you need to have a Stratocaster of some sort, some kind of S-style body, T-style body, L-style body, all that stuff. So, all right, folks. Excuse me. I should probably mute the microphone when I do that, but you wouldn't be able to hear me if I did that. I have a camera right over here, and I don't have it plugged in right just yet. Is there a way to plug this in? Where's my cable here? Yeah, what do I have? If I plugged in this camera, you could see a secondary angle. Possibly. I might try this real fast. Unplug that. Plug this in. Maybe. There we go. That microphone's picking things up really well tonight. All right, so plugging this sucker in on the side. It's this one right here. So if I plug it in, I should. Oh, that's what I unplugged earlier. I had something. Sorry, folks. Hold on. I'm figuring it out. I want to get the second camera going. This is the joys of live streaming and not preparing anything. All right. So now if I go here and add, I wonder if it's going to see this camera. Camera switcher window. Yeah, it's not showing up. So I probably don't have the right cable plugged in. Yeah, it's just not going to do it. All right, that is perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and do some playing here. And another reason why I want the camera, like you can't really see my guitar all that well. I feel like my chair needs to be a little bit higher or something. Otherwise you can't see my guitar. And you see all this other stuff in the way. I got like little tools for setting up guitars and whatnot. And all that. So you can see the Doctor McFarland really well. That looks really good. That looks fine. All right, here we go. We're going to do some playing. And my guitar is coming in too. It's plugged into my headrush currently. But it's really just used as a throughput because right, so here's the sound of my guitar just going through the headrush. Okay, it's just plugged in right over here on top of my desk. So let me tell you, when you're dealing with plugins, most of them have a standalone option. Now you can use these in a digital audio workstation, aka a DAW. But at that point, you have to have the DAW in pretty low buffer size so you don't feel any latency at all. But in this way that I'm doing it, let me see here. Crop to fill. Show entire screen. Current application. That's gear. Okay. Move this over a little bit there. All right, so when you're dealing with plugins, you have a few options here. So you plug straight into your audio interface, usually in an instrument input or a 1/4 inch input, which also is a high Z input. And then that hits the plugin, and then there you can either have an output of your plugin, which in this case I'm using my Studio Live right here in front of me as a mixing board, but it's also my interface. So I'm sending the output of this plugin to channels 25 and 26. You can choose literally whatever you want, but I have all my faders right here in a row. And so I have my DAW output fader, my computer output fader, which controls YouTube and title and any kind of sounds that's coming from the computer. 27 and 28 is a virtual instrument output. And then 25 and 26 is my amp output. And since I'm using a user bank, I have one fader assigned to 25, but since 25 and 26 are grouped together, or they're linked, that means that one fader moves both of them. So, with that said, here is my guitar. And that's what you would hear if you just plug straight into the DI. Now, I actually got this question on YouTube today from a guy saying, hey, he actually commented on my S-Gear video I did a few years ago, and his friend was hearing the dry signal at the same time as his wet signal, i.e. the actual amp sound he's going for. And that was the thing. You have to mute your dry signal channel and then only monitor the wet signal coming back out of the plugin, or the input monitoring of your digital audio workstation. So that's how you do that. So now if I mute this guitar, you don't hear my direct signal. You just hear the microphone picking up the acoustic, the acoustical properties of the guitar in the room. And then when I bring up this fader, which is set to 25 and 26, now you start hearing. Ooh, I do have this cable here. Let me swap this out real fast. Let me swap this real fast because I do want to get this other camera. I need to organize I've been organizing cables for a while, but just when I get them organized, I still can't seem to find anything for some reason, and I don't know why. All right, we're gonna plug this guy in here. This little guy right here. All right, there we go. That cable goes to this cable. Oh my gosh, it's gonna work. All right, so check this out. I'm gonna add my other view. And I'm upside down. Why am I upside down? All right, let me look at this. Mirror. Rotate. Yay. Show source in separate window. Yeah, I don't need to see all that. Camera B is this one. Oh, come on. There it goes. So now I should be able to switch. Yeah, I can switch between these two. Neat. All right. And this can come down a little bit. So let me show you what I added this last week, and before I get to this plugin. So now I have a little pull-out tray for my desk. And you can see, yeah, when that cable gets bumped, it wants to move. And that's not good. All right, I'll try not to move the camera, but you can see that I can do some mixing here from the desk, and then when I'm done, I can just slide it back in and come right back up. So that is very convenient, and I like that. Oh, this is stupid. Why is it showing me double? I gotta figure that out, because that is just dumb. Yeah, I have to figure that out later. I know. I'm double. Look at me. Woo. All right, so let's talk about the S Gear plugin. I'll actually switch this over. All right, so I actually have a bunch of presets already made for this. So here's an ambient clean. And the Pro Convolver is a IR loader, essentially. So I have my Doc McFarland IRs in here. I have an AK Doc Greenback 57 off axis. And then the second cab is a Vintage 30 with a 57 and a Royer 121. So I can take these and I can actually, I have these panned hard left and right, I think. So I should have some stereo-ness going on. I can delay one side. Let's see what this does. Alright, so it's kind of interesting, right? Maybe I don't delay one side. So there's the left side, and here's the right side. And then here they both are together. So you can kind of see I'm clicking around. And how do I make this bigger? I don't know if I can make it bigger. It's as big as I can make it. Okay. Let's go through some more presets. Here's a clean. So they have an amp called the Duke. I'm not sure what it's based off of, but it's just nice and clean. So any one of these sounds could be something that I say, yeah, that sounds good. Let's go ahead and make a new track in my recording software, arm it, and press record, and just start playing something. So yeah, here's a Duke Crunch. Okay, that sounds good. And we have a Duke lead. Okay, so I feel like between just these three sounds, I can do quite a lot with that. All right, so maybe at the end of going through my presets, I can pull up a DAW session or a recording session and then start maybe just lay down a few tracks so you can kind of hear what this sounds like. So here's the Steeler, which is a high crunch sound at this point. More water. That was good. Okay. That's a good overall sound. Notice all that noise in the background? let's turn on the noise gate. And maybe we can bring up the threshold around, keep it around 80 or so. Maybe keep the release pretty fast. Maybe have it on auto, maybe. There's also a floor we can take all the way down. So as I bring up that noise gate, just gonna slowly take that out. And this stuff is global, so I don't have to worry about. So I can have a mono output or a stereo output. Okay. Let's go to the slight dirt. Let me tune real fast. Feel like I'm out of tune. Real fast, I did get my 7-string from Kiesel in this week. Actually, it was Friday, I think. I think it was Friday. But there's a blemish on there that was not expected. So, oh wow, it works now. How did that happen? I don't know, but it's working now. I'm going to go with it. Make myself a little bit bigger. There we go. I look pretty decent now. So right underneath the bridge area, the hip shot bridge, there's a crack in the finish. Like the wood was coming up. It was just stupid. So either somebody just messed up or they were rushing it out the door or something, but it got damaged. Just a minor damage, and they felt bad and they wanted to fix it. So I sent it back after already paying for overnight shipping because I just couldn't wait another week. You know, live and you learn. And ended up having to send it back anyway. So whatever. So that should be done in a few weeks, and then they'll ship it back. I can do a proper review video on that guitar. But there is a video out on my channel right now of a quick little playthrough using the 7-string through a head rush, and it sounds really good, I think. So go check that out after this live stream if you're really bored. All right, this sounds really good. All right, so at this point, this is what we can do. Why is that noise gate not on? Maybe this is per preset, maybe. Because if I go to this preset, it turns back off. Okay. So let's do that. Let's go here. Let's turn on that. And we're going to hit store. Store again. And we're going to go here. Turn that on. Turn that down. Hit store. Store again. All right, so now we've stored those presets with the noise gate on there, which is good. All right, so since I'm going through the head rush, I technically am going through a separate signal path that you may or may not have. I mean, if you have some kind of digital modeler with you, you can plug your guitar into that and then go into your line input on your audio interface. And what that's going to do is you can't really put wet effects if you have a dirty amp in your amp sim, because now you're going to have really dirty-fied, delays or reverbs, which I don't like. I prefer to have those after the amp. So, but I can hit this with a dirt pedal, which I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah, see, I can add So here's a compressor I can add, which is kind of neat. I'm not sure how this works. Some presets there. All right, so it looks like they have added a compressor and a drive, which is great. How do I turn this compressor on? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Oh, this would be a good little comparison then. So we have a gain, a tone, and a level. We have a pre-clip kind of deal. We can mess with that. So this is really cool. So guitar into the head rush into the board. Then the board is feeding the input of the plugin, which is in standalone mode. And then the output of the plugin is going to a virtual output. Well, not virtual, but a USB output. So I can hear it through the board. And then that channel can be picked up into my recording software. So I'm going to turn on my JRC overdrive. So here's the before. So that pretty much tells you that even if you have some physical, some stomp boxes that you own, you can go guitar into stop box, add a stop box into your direct input on your audio interface, and then push the front end of any plugin that you want with your actual drive pedals and boosters and a wah pedal and all kinds of stuff. So I actually put together a pedal board using the HX effects and 2 drive pedals and an expression pedal, so I can get a wall. So that might be a cool option to use that as the front end for recording in through the S-Gear plugin, and basically using that as my amplifier in the computer. So anyway. Yes. Let's turn the drive all the way down, levels all the way up. Okay. Notice how the Tube Screamer pushes more mids into the front end of the amp and also just pushes more volume. That's kind of what it does. We are going to now bypass the JRC, and we're going to turn on the actual drive pedal within the plugin and see what that does. Let's go gain down, level up, tone down just a smidge. Yes. We're going to store that. Let's go back to the Duke Clean. And let's add in our compressor and our drive through. Let's see what this pedal sounds like with a clean amp. Yeah, that is sweet. What is this little LED here? I can't tell if the compressor is on or not. Factory preset. Ratio. See, if I had the output turned up, you'd think it'd push the front end of the amp more. Something tells me this compressor is not on. Oh, that's where it is. Okay, found it. I'm like, how do you turn this thing on? Okay, get the ratio going, get the shape going. Hey, hey, that's a good sound. Bypass it. You always want to make sure you bypass the pedal so you can check the on sound versus the off sound and make sure you're not going down in volume, but you're also not like getting tons more volume than you were before. Because the bypass with all your pedals bypassed, that is the core sound. That's the foundation sound that you have. And then anything else you add on top needs to just accentuate that clean sound or whatever your main sound is. I mean, some people say your clean sound could be a slightly dirty amp, and that's their clean, right? So it's just all kinds of options for different people. Fast attack, slow release, or fast release. Yeah, I was not aware that they added the compressor. I knew about the gain pedal, but this is... switcher down here. All right, we got 3 people watching right now. Let me know what kind of questions you have about guitars, amp sim plugins, all that stuff. Notice that my noise gate is not working, so let's turn that on. Turn down the floor all the way. Let's make this a really fast release. And also let me know how everything is sounding as well. Okay? Let me know. Alright, I really like that. It sounds great. I'm going to store that sound. So we can take that off, store it again. So now I have the same clean as before, but now I've added the compressor in there. Which, this is something you may want to consider. If you have drive pedals before you get into your high-Z input on your interface, and you have a compressor in the plug-in, those drive pedals are going to hit the compressor pre-compression. So you need to be aware of that it could alter your sound, either for the better or for the worse. But you just have to figure that out. Okay. So if I turn this off, like so, and then turn it back on. See, at this point, I do wish I had a second screen which I have a desk back there with a screen on it for when I play drums, but I could have a different setup here. We'll figure that out. I got a 43-inch TV or 43-inch TV, and it works really good. But something tells me that if I had two different screens right in front of me with the camera in the middle, I would have a really good like centered camera view, and then have one screen for live stream stuff and the other screen for, whatever else I'm doing. That was a gut decision, which I'm gonna have to live with for now. Because the TV was not. It wasn't very expensive, but it also wasn't cheap. And it's like, it's nice having a big screen TV in front of me, but I can't pull things off to the side as easy. And now I just have this huge TV right in front of me, so I have to figure that out. Manic Scars in the house. He says, sounds good. I'm actually trying to decide if it would be better to go with an Boss ME90, which is brand new, by the way. They just came out a few weeks ago. Or just go software, as I already have an audio interface on my PC, currently using the Spark 40. All right, so with that comment, which is a great comment, and thanks for chiming in there. You can see the comment right there on your screen. With this comment here, you're kind of telling me that you don't play in a band right now. You're mainly just a hobby, maybe not a hobby, but you just mainly play in your bedroom or in your living room or something. And you currently have a Spark, which is great. And do you want to get a hardware, something you can hold in your hands and also take out of your house pretty quickly and easily to jam with friends, maybe play at church, maybe go play at a local blues club or jam night or whatever you want to do? And if you went the plug-in route, which you can still do, you just can't take your computer with you and plug it through a speaker cab and there's your guitar sound. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think if you want to play out with other people eventually, it's good to have something physical in your hands that you can pick up, move around, plug into another amplifier or some kind of FR speaker, which the ME90 does have a cab sim output. So it does have that. It does have some kind of IR built in, essentially. Maybe you can add your own IRs. I can't remember, but it's a pretty cool little unit. So if you just need a basic amp sound with some delay, reverb, drive, compression, some modulation thrown in, there's tons of options on the ME90 to make a few different presets. So here's your clean, here's your crunch, here's your lead. Maybe here's some ambient kind of thing. You can just quickly switch in and out between those sounds. And then when you're done, you can bank up or down to get 4 more sounds. And then bank up or down and get 4 more and 4 more. And eventually, once you've kind of filled out a few different banks, you're set. You don't really need a whole lot more than that. So if it were me, if I wasn't a YouTuber and I didn't have tons of gear just laying around, and I had to start over, I would have one guitar, one amplifier, one pedal board of some kind, just with some basic effects, and that would be it. You just got that's the bare bones basics of what you need just to play guitar. You have to have, especially electric guitar, you have to have some way to amplify your guitar. And then more than likely you want to sprinkle in some effects here and there, like some delays and reverb and some kind of modulation like tremolo, phase, flange. Maybe kick in a dirt pedal like a Tube Screamer or something. if you would like to see me review a Boss ME90, I would love to do it. They are about $350. So, I just don't want to go out and buy something if it's not something that I want to keep long term. So if I can maybe connect with Sweetwater or somebody like that, and they can send me a unit for a review, and then maybe send it back, I'll be more than happy to do that. But right now, I can just go off of what I'm seeing online and say, yeah, this is a pretty cool Boss unit. I did look at the GT100, and that looks pretty cool as well. It's a slightly more expensive, more in the $500 to $600 range. But when you're getting into the more digital realm, you are going to have a lot more options available. So, Francis is in the house. So yeah, so there's that. So that's my 2 cents on the Boss ME90. I say go for it if that's the kind of guy that you want to be, and if you want to have a plug-in on your computer, you can have that route as well. Because sometimes you just want to plug in to your interface and just record something real fast, and not have to have external gear. But on the flip side, you just can't take your computer with you, especially if it's a desktop. I mean, that just wouldn't make sense to take your desktop and throw it in the car, take your guitar, and now where are you going to plug your computer into? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So, Aaron Short, new Les Paul. No, this is the same Les Paul I've had, but I did take off the pick guard, and I took off the little the switch cover round thingy there. So this way you can actually see the you can see more of the top, which is wow. I mean, look at that. Look at it. That's amazing. Really, really pretty. Yeah, every angle is just killer. Aaron, I sent the Kiesel back today. They are going to fix it and all that good stuff. So I figured long term it'd be better to just have it fixed. So that way I know it's in perfect working condition like it should have been. And then if I put any dings on it in the future, then that's on me. So there's that. All right, let's go back to our plug-in here, our S-Gear plug-in. So I have a compressor and a drive pedal. So here's the drive. I feel like I want to do some jamming with that sound. So let's do this. Let's pull this up. Let's go to my website, the back end of my website, so I can log in and I can access. Come on. Maybe I'm already logged in. There we go. If you do not know, I have backing tracks available. I'm creating one backing track once a week, or one backing track a week for this year, which will make 52 backing tracks. And that is a one-time cost of $20 for that year. And then the next year, when I make 52 more backing tracks, you can sign up to access those as well. So we're doing pretty good on those. I got one more to do for the month of July, which I was ahead of the game, and then I got behind of the game somehow. Somber Acoustic Groove and F-sharp minor. Let's see what this one is. I don't remember what these are. Okay. Yeah, here we are. For some reason, when I touch this, something's weird. Anyway, yeah, that sounds great. That's a good little jam. It's a good little jam there. What am I doing? Let's take this down. Let's go back. There we are. All right, so that is the Duke Clean with a drive pedal. So if I took that back off, I still just have a nice clean. Go back to my other scene here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, let's go to some other things. Maybe update. So this is supposed to be a jazz, which is jazzy. Let's go ahead and add our compressor to this. We'll turn it on. We'll turn on the noise gate. Maybe. Go to my second camera. It's a G13 chord there, folks. That sounds good, so we'll go ahead and store that. Let's just go ahead and add. Oh, wow, I keep doing that. Let's go ahead and add our drive pedal. Fast release, bring this down about to there. Alright, that's pretty good. So I can have a jazzy tone, and then I can kick in a drive pedal if I want. Trying to see what that pre-clip button did. I'm not sure. Let's do The Jackal Eats Dirt. Oh, crap. That sounds good. Oh, crap. That sounds good. Francis is asking, do I prefer the Gibson or the Eastman? Well, I mean, I like them both. I think for the sake of saying, hey, I own a Gibson, I mean, golly, look at that top. I mean, it's just sick. How could I ever sell this thing? It just doesn't make sense to sell it. This is so good. That is so good. So this is the benchmark that I can use to compare all other guitars to. So let me actually grab the Eastman real fast. Let me grab that Eastman real fast. put on my headphones here. All right, so I want you to notice something. Let me turn that down. So notice, first of all, that the color is very much the same, but the wood grain on the Eastman is very tight. You have a very tight, skinny wood grain there. You can still see the curl pop out, but it's not as prominent as what the Les Paul is. Now, I could have chosen a few other options I saw on Reverb that end up going to the actual store's website and buying it straight from the website instead of Reverb. You can see there's natural aging here on a, let me pull this over so you kind of see what this is. So we've got natural aging right here, which the Gibson is a 2012 traditional, so it already has 11 years of playing and wear and tear on it, but this is pre-aged. So this is a brand new guitar that's been made to look like it's been played for 40, 50 years or whatever it is. Here's the back. You can see it has all the scuff marks and all the aging marks and stuff on there. This is definitely a little bit lighter than the Les Paul, and so that's really nice. I like that it's lighter and all that stuff. So here's the headstock there, Eastman headstock. You can definitely tell that this horn right here is a different shape. So the overall body of the Eastman is a different shape than the Les Paul. This is a little bit, the butt is a little bit bigger, and then it's a little more rounder right here. But overall, I mean, they're both great guitars. I love both of them. And that came off. So I did order, the reason why this came off right there is it didn't have one of those rubber washers on it, which I did go on Amazon and I ordered a pack of 30 red rubber washers that are specifically for guitar straps. So you just put the strap on, put the rubber washer over that, and then the strap doesn't come off, and it's great. So let's see what people saying. Yeah. The neck profiles, I feel like the Eastman is slightly thinner, just slightly thinner. I have some calibers that I bought a few years ago to test this kind of stuff. So when I do my review of the Eastman, I will compare it to the Les Paul, and I'll get the calibers out, and I'll make sure I measure the thickness of both the necks. But the Les Paul is a little bit thicker, and that is because it's a traditional, and traditionally a traditional 59 Les Paul has a thicker neck versus the 60s style Les Pauls, which have thinner necks. So there's that. There's that whole thing right there. Bam. Yeah, still pretty cool. So let's listen to some tones here. Let's hear some tones. Let me go back up and check the comments. Okay. Yeah, we're still good. It's funny, I've been live for more than an hour and we just now have like people chiming in. I mean, I had other people chiming, watching, I think, but nobody was really commenting. So thanks for commenting, Francis. That makes me feel like I'm not all by myself here. All right, let's go ahead and add. So we've adjusted our noise gate, which is good. Let's go ahead and add our drive-through pedal. Turn that on. So something about this pedal reminds me of a Klon, because we have a gain, a tone, and a level. But this tone could also just be treble as well, which is what a Klon does. All right, so there's that. I can turn that off and then store it. Let's see here. I own a Norland era Les Paul 1972 Gibson Deluxe with the mini humbuckers. Nice. Yeah, it reminds me of the Klon for sure. There is a Love pedal, I think, with the same kind of shape, that skinny shape. But to me, this is very Klonish. Yes, Shredfest. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and store this. Maybe. Is it stored? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Jekyll lead. Dennis, let me get to your question here right after I adjust this noise gate. Go back and adjust all this here. Then same kind of deal. We're going to add the drive-through. Maybe gain down, level up. And store. All right, so Dennis, I have a question. My power supply cable hangs loose when inserted into my gig. Oh, you're the guy. I think you messaged me about this. It almost falls out. Does anyone else have this problem with the headrush units? I personally have never seen that, and I don't know why the hole would be bored out like that to where it's just so loose the power stop, you know, the end of the cable comes out. But you would need to call the Headrush website or the company there, or email them. But I would call and get that figured out, Dennis. But that is strange. That is very strange. And that, I'm not saying this is better or worse at all. But this power supply right here. There we are. See that? That's why I like the strong IEC connection on gear whenever I can get it. Because the wall wart stuff, the wall wart crap with the small little insert plug, I mean, it's just not as sturdy long term. You're more prone to either step on it somehow and breaking it off or something, right? Just having that really strong connection there with a good on-off switch, it just makes the world of difference. So I really wish Headrush would consider that for their smaller units, like the gig board and the MX5. Find a way to have the power supply in the unit itself. Yeah, the Prime is based on the bigger board. So, I mean, it's the full-size pedal board, so therefore you have an IEC connection. And that is true. The tech support should answer pretty quick, I would think. I would think so. All right, so here we go. So this already has a pretty good amount of bite to it. Ooh, yes. Pretty cool. All right, let's go on to the next one here. The Wayfarer Clean. That sounds nice. Definitely add some compression to that. Check my before and after. And then when I stop playing, the noise gate comes on and it's beautiful. What I like, Francis, about this guitar versus the Les Paul are the pickups. These come with Lawler Imperials, and they are a lower output pickup, but that means that if you turn your volume down, you know, around like 7 to 8, you can really clean up the sound even more than what it already is. Right, there's no treble bleed circuit on there, so that does affect it. But that's what I have noticed about this guitar versus the Les Paul. Is lower output pickups, and I can use my switch to get a good clean and dirty sound. So let me kick in a pedal here. It's not a great example, but yeah. I like all that. Let's go ahead and store that one. It's just a nice sound. Wayfarer Tremolo. So I'm going in and I'm adding a compressor to all these. So I like the sound of it. Raise the output just slightly. Noise gate. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, these pickups are pretty dynamic. So that is the difference between this one and the Les Paul for sure. All right, we're going into Headed for Heaven. So this is the preset that I named because it's just very ethereal. So check this out. What the crap, man. That sounds so good. Francis, be looking out for some clones of the of all these tones right here. I can't clone the wet stuff, but I can clone the the amps themselves, and also the pedals, because I can bypass the amp and cab and just get the effect, right? So I can turn off the delays and reverbs. If I add in the compressor here, I can essentially add that as a pedal clone and all that fun stuff. And then I can also add in my drive pedal. Turn the amp and cab back on. Noise gate. I mean, Helix, Fractal, Headrush, Quad Cortex, Neural DSP, I mean, all the companies sound great. The plugins sound great. I mean, that is a great sound. That is an excellent sound right there that I can use for recording, whatever. I mean, if S-Gear had a hardware option to have all these sounds in it, kind of like a Headrush or something, I would buy that, because that sounds great. It sounds really good. So it's kind of disappointing that I only have this option within a plugin. But now that we're in the days of cloning and profiling and capturing and stuff like that, I can capture the amp and drive sounds, just not the wet stuff. And really, that's why I bought the FM3, is for all the wet effects that it has. I know it has tons of amps and pedals and stuff, but the wet effects that it has, as far as delays and reverb types, just really, really, really good. So the Headrush has good delays and reverbs, but they're kind of plain. They don't have a lot of extra juice to them, extra sparkle. This definitely has some sparkle going on with it, which is great. I do have the HX Effects from Line 6, which has all the reverbs and delays from the Helix family. So it's just another tool in the tool belt I can use for recording if I want to. Alright, so there's that. I'm going to store that sound. Go to Floating in the Clouds. messed up. This has a cathedral reverb and then 2 different delays. Yeah, one set to a whole note and one set to a half note or something. I don't know, whatever it is. Alright, so with all that said, I mean, really, the difference between units, modeling units, comes down to really workflow, and they really do live and die based on their effects. I mean, an amp is an amp is an amp at some point. And a tube screamer is going to sound like a tube screamer pretty much across the board on all the units, right? But it's really the wet effects, like the types of delays and reverbs that it has, to me is really what makes the biggest difference. I did recently sell the Kemper, but I would have kept that unit too if it wasn't, I just needed some money. But the Kemper wet effects is really, really good. If you can get past all the profiling and having to scroll through all the different, amp profiles just to find a sound that you like, if you can get past all that and just find a good clean sound, good crunch, a good lead, and then just dial in your delays and reverbs for whatever songs you're playing, the Kemper is a great option if you want just some really killer wet effects. Manascar says, do you have to buy the extra amps and pedals? No. I bought this version before they added the compression and drive. But since I guess I bought it within a certain window, or you're allowed to upgrade a certain many times before you have to pay again. This is just a free update as far as I know. And I guess they'll keep adding more stuff. I feel like I've gotten an email recently. Let me go up here. Preferences, audio device. Somehow latency is all the way down, so it's pretty low. Audio routing. Kind of see there. So my inputs, input 21, and my outputs 25 and 26. I was trying to see if I clicked anywhere, if it showed me like what kind of what am I looking at here? I don't know what I'm looking at. Anyway, so S Gear, I'm on version 3.1.0. Devoted to creating truly musical software for guitar players. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to check the website, see if there's another update that I'm not aware of. But maybe there is. Maybe there is. All right, so let's check out this with the compressor. So I'm pretty sure that the shape knob right here adds treble. Let's turn this all the way down. Maybe not. I feel like it's brighter when I turn it on. Do a fast release and slow attack. Okay. Turn on the gain. All right, I'm going to go to my my sounds here. Nice. Yeah, that's just a cool sound. Just a cool sound. Let's see. I tried a Kemper for the first time 2 weeks ago. A friend just got it. I spent the whole day trying to figure it out. I do not like the user interface. Yep, that's I did finally figure it out, right before I sold it. But I did have it for almost a year. I almost had it for a year, and it very much takes some getting used to. And so that's why I say buying a unit comes down to workflow. Workflow first. How do you interact with the unit? Is it easy to set up sounds? And if it's not, I mean, the Fractal's pretty much that way. I mean, the Fractal is not a very user-friendly device. You really have to spend time with it, learn all the buttons, know how to navigate on the screen, and all that stuff. I mean, you can plug it into your computer and use like the XFX Edit, which is perfectly fine. But you can't do that at a gig. You have to learn, you have to know enough about the unit to be able to go over to it and say, hey, I want to turn up my gain on my amp, or I want to change a setting on my drive pedal. And you have to know how to do that stuff. In the heat of the moment, you can't rely on, oh, I'll just bring my computer and plug it in real fast. That's stupid. You're not going to do that. No one's ever going to do that in a live gig. So you have to learn the unit enough to learn it and actually use it. So with all that said, Fractal is not user-friendly. Headrush is very user-friendly. Quad Cortex, very user-friendly. You don't even have to crack the manual, really. Just start touching the screen and off you go. The Boss ME90, I mean, that's pretty as much straightforward analog as you can get. So I would not expect to have to read the manual a whole lot for that. Andrew Collins, did you get the new Headrush? I have a Headrush, and it's new to me. So yes, I got a new Headrush. And that will be I'll be making some videos on the new Headrush stuff here very soon. Sounds good. Let me go back here. Bam. Yeah, you gotta spend time with the units to actually know them. I mean, the Helix is actually very easy to use, but since it doesn't have a touchscreen, there's a few little things you just have to kind of memorize and learn. But once you've learned it, I mean, it's really easy to use. Helix is easier to use than the Fractal for sure. But you can, changing the oil in your car is not user friendly. You have to go through the process a few times to really memorize how to change the oil in your car, or how to change a flat tire, or how to literally do anything. Like how to install a toilet in your bathroom. I mean, nobody just goes to Lowe's and buys a toilet and a flange and all the things you need to install a toilet and get it right the first time. I mean, you just have to do the process over and over and over a few times till you get it right, and then you know how to do it. So, I mean, you can beat that concept like a dead horse, but it's just so true. It is so true. Here's a Wayfarer rhythm. A little lower in volume, isn't it? Turn up the volume level here. Turn on my... So, Andrew, I'm updating my plugin with some better settings. Get that noise gate going. I did realize tonight that there is a compressor that you can add, which is cool. And we're also talking about recording with plugins. and how it's very doable, very possible. How long have I been going? An hour and 39 minutes. Pretty good. Pretty good. We got some good people in here watching now, so we're cooking with gas, folks. And I have my secondary view over here. And for those who came in a little bit late, I also have a slide out tray under my desk. So I have my fader port 16 that controls channels in my digital audio workstation. And that works really well. I can start and stop play, record, move faders, and then when I'm done, just push it back in and it's out of the way. I am using a 3mm sticky tape, whatever you call it. So it's very secure on here, but I can pop it off if I need to loosen it, and then just stick it back on when I'm done. So yeah, it's very convenient to slide that in and out. And I do have the desk slightly higher than normal because of that, so it clears my leg when I slide it out. Otherwise, yeah, I can bring the desk down a few notches if I need to. But all right, what am I doing here? So for some people, that can actually be their clean sound, even though it has a little bit of dirt in there. Not tons, but just a little bit. So I can actually bring up the gain a little bit more. So there's a lot of gain on tap there, but I'm going to bring it back down. Bring it by level. And that's just a good all around sound there. Then kick on the drive pedal. And you got some good lead. Wayfarer Crunch. I should probably be looking at my output setting over here, because that's one thing that you need to consider when you're dealing with gain staging is, regardless of how loud you're hearing something, look at the meters to make sure that you're actually hitting the level that you need to be, and then you can adjust your headphone level or your speakers to how loud you're actually hearing it in the room. But let's just say, for example, that my output was super low, but then I'd turn around and I crank my headphone amp. Well, that's really not helping, because you just need to turn up your overall level as far as the meters here. So just check out the meters on the bottom left. So I'm hitting around that green to yellow mark, and if I go back to my Wayfarer rhythm, see, I'm in the red now. So regardless of how loud I'm hearing it, I need to make sure my level is hitting the same. And that's the exact same concept you want to do on your head rush, on your helix, on your fractal, on your quad cortex, on your Kemper. Whatever modeling unit you're using, make sure the output level is the same per preset or per rig, whatever your unit calls it. And regardless of actually how loud you're hearing it on stage or in your headphones or through your studio monitors, that's going to make sure that every single preset that you make is going to have a consistent volume for one rig or preset to the next. So I'm in the green, but just tickling the yellow every once in a while. And that's pretty good. That is pretty good. So I'm going to go back to my crunch sound now. And that's good. I do have my noise gate on, which is working. I don't need a compressor in this case, but I would want to add the drive. And notice this has no delay or anything, so I could add some delay, I think. It's my mix. It's just not up very loud. There we go. Cool. That sounds good. Turn on the drive. And that works. So I can either have that be just a plain rhythm sound with no delay, and then kick in some delay for some other parts, kick in my little clone over here for some other parts if I want to. And Wayfarer lead. So notice that the gain is all the way up. I do have the noise gate already on in this preset, which is good. So the high cut was turned up pretty high to get rid of that fizz. Okay, I like that. Let's add our gain pedal. Gain down, level up. All right, real fast. Let's test this out with a Bold Groove in D minor. I don't even know what this song is. What is this one? I don't know if I want to do that one. Converging Groove in C minor. Let's see what this one is here. Oh, this is a weird one. Yep, that sounds good. So that's a good tone overall. That's a good tone overall. And now we're back. Get that noise gate going. All right, let's test out the JRC from the head rush. Versus the pedal. Maybe turn up the tone a little bit. Now notice what happened here. Here's my core sound. I hear a little bit of bass reduction when I kick in the pedal. So here it is with the head rush. So to me, I'm hearing that bass being reduced. It's being rolled off with the tube screamer hitting the front end of the amp, and it's filtering all those low frequencies out. So that's what makes a rhythm sound a little bit tighter. And that's also why you want to have your drive all the way down and really to use the volume and the tone to shape the sound. Because you're not really wanting to add gain, but the pedal being turned on by default automatically just filters out a lot of that low end and also a little bit of the high end as well. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and save that. It's got some funk. I wish units would make the output leveling automatic, but that might mess with compression. Yeah, and there could be like an auto makeup gain something, but really you're asking the unit to automatically listen for each of your rigs that you make on your head rush, for instance, and based on where that level is and how hard it's hitting maybe a limiter or something, maybe there's a way to automatically bring it up or down depending on how hard you are hitting that final output stage. But to me, I've always looked at the let me go to my other camera here. So to me, I've always looked at the green bars on a head rush, and there's a 0 mark, and I try to hit about three bars below that 0 mark. So if I hit that, I know just visually on every output of every rig I make that that's just the range that I can stay in and know that I can go from one rig to the next and have a very consistent volume. This noise gate keeps turning on. Noise gate, stop it. So that's what I've always done with the head rush. Other units, you just have to gauge. You have to have a standard of what your output volume is going to be. Then just always stay within that standard, within that little frame that you've given yourself. Because if you're in the green on one rig, but then well into the yellow on another rig, and in the red in another rig, there's so many extremes of volume there that you're never going to be consistent from rig to rig as far as volume goes. So, I mean, really at this point, there's literally 0 units on the market that automatically matches the level of all your presets, I think. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but as far as I know, there's nothing out there that just automatically does it for you. You have to be the one to know your unit, check the output of your unit, and just make sure you're matching the volumes from one unit to one rig to the next. So that's what you got to do, Dennis. That's what you got to do. That's paying your dues and learning how to use this gear that we all try to have fun with. So, Wayfarer lead. There's 2 more I got here. Metalicious. It's very dry. We can turn on some delay. I don't know why I'm calling this Metalicious. There's a mid shift I can turn on. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Turn on the noise floor. I don't know why they want you to have a noise floor. I just turn it all the way off. No noise is good with me. All right, let's go add our pedal, drive pedal. So most metal players, they have some kind of drive boost on their board. So they just kick the front end of their amp, filter out the lows a little bit, get that nice tight chug kind of thing. Yeah, I'll save that. And then the last one is a metal lead. So the gain's all the way up. We do have delay on. Cool. Yeah, let me go back to my website here and let's play Metal Bomb Groove in E. Let's try this one out. Yeah, let's see what we got. All right, Shred Fest. Yes, sir. Stupid. Totally insane. Oh man, oh man. All right, so that's the S-Gear plugin. Let me go back to my other screen here, make sure all that's saved. Yes, technically it's saved. Let me add the pedal. Gain down, something, something. Yeah, tapping. It's really funny. When I first learned to do that, which I'm not great at it anyway, but I literally was sitting on my bed or in my apartment, in my room, and just like going tap. Let me turn down my guitar just slightly. So you go like tap, pull, hammer, tap, pull, hammer, tap, pull, hammer. You just keep speeding it up till you're really comfortable with it. Then you can do like the gnat kind of sound. Which essentially I'm tapping and pulling and hammering onto the same fret. Let me pull this over here so you can see what I'm doing. So tap, tap, pull, then hammer onto the same fret. But you got to make sure that your finger's out of the way so you don't like cut yourself. Because I did that because I used to have longer nails for classical guitar, and I would hit my other finger and then like gash it and have blood all over the place. Whatever. So you got the. But essentially, you're creating triads. That's really all you're doing is just making a triad. So you got like an E minor, so you got E, G, and B. Right? And then you can go E, G, C for a C major triad. And then you can go to D and G, or you can go up and you can go like this. So we got G, B, and D. All right, stuff like that. So now we can go, and then we can go F sharp, which is, we can go F sharp to A to D, which is now a D major chord. All right, so if I start over, I got E, C, and then G, and then go down, keep the top note the same, but then top note is the same, but then go down to the G or the D notes with this F sharp and A. All right, once again. Anyway, stuff like that. So I'm not great at it. I never play in that style, hardly ever. So I don't really do it enough to. I don't do it enough to be good at it, but I know the basics and the concepts of like, okay, if you tap here and tap there, you can be a shred master. But I'm not a shred master by any means. Not me. Don't if you're wanting a shred for a metal song, you don't want me shredding. I play I'm more of a blues rock kind of player. Do a lot of melodic stuff, melodies, if you will. So yeah. Dennis, thanks for hanging out. That was fun. There was a little tapping lesson there at the end. A tapping lesson. All right, so future news, future videos coming out is going to be a review of the 2 different desk trays that I tried before I finally figured out that the second one was going to work better. So that will be a video coming out. I will do a Les Paul and Eastman shootout or really comparison type video. See, this one has a lot of curl in it, but it's not the same kind of curl that the Les Paul has. So look out for a video for that. And I have a Supro amp I'm trying to sell, so I need to get some videos out on that one. I have a Boss Katana series that I should have started probably a year ago that I got from Sweetwater. And they sent the amp to me to review and make a series on. I just hadn't got around to it because, a baby and new house and everything that goes on with life. So I need to get that going. So that'll probably be a good fall series I can do. Then I have the Fractal FM3 coming, so I can do comparison videos on the FM3 versus the Axe FX3. And then all the Headrush stuff that will be coming out here very, very soon. Talking about all the cloning process and how I clone stuff into the Headrush and capture sounds or clone sounds essentially. So there's just a lot of stuff coming up, and I need to be diligent with my time and just make sure I get in front of a camera and just batch record a bunch of content at once, so then I can go back and I can edit it all together and then release it, or at least get it scheduled out so I can be releasing a few videos a week, doing that kind of stuff. So very busy, but I do like going live on Tuesdays. It gives me a time to relax, and I would be playing guitar anyway. So let's talk about gear. Let's play some guitar. Let's answer any kind of questions that you may have, and we'll just have fun. So I am liking the camera, the 2 camera angle thing here, but I do wish that I had a camera right in front of me. So I didn't have to look over here and look over there and all kinds of weird stuff. And I did try having the camera over the TV, but I felt like it was just too high. It was angled down. It was like a weird angle, which I didn't like. So, yeah, I'll have to experiment a little bit with that. Do some experimenting with that and see what I can come up with. Yeah. So thanks, guys. About a 2-hour live stream, which is good. Thomas Blug does way longer live streams than I do. So, Thomas, if you're watching, love your live streams, but they're very long. So, and also Amp X, Thomas Blug's Amp X. That's recent news. It is not ready yet, but when it is ready, he will release it, and I hope to get one of those maybe early next year. Once they've been shipped out and everything's ready to go, and I can do a proper review of the Amp X, because I am a huge Thomas Blug fan, and therefore I am a fan of his products. I'm not going to say that the Amp 1 is the greatest thing ever, but it is a really nice amp. If you want a good clean sound, you want some vintagey kind of, different dirt options, And that can be your 100-watt amp that you can add effects to with other units or drive pedals or what effects or whatever you have. So mute button is there for when I cough or sneeze. So yeah, Amp X from Thomas Blug. They are in the final stages, but these should be the final stages before that gets officially released. So at this point, maybe sometime in the fall, if not very, very early next year, that will be starting to ship out to Europe first, just to make sure all the kinks are worked out, and then they'll start shipping over to the U.S. So for those who want a great 100-watt actual amplifier that is also totally programmable, you can create presets and all kinds of stuff, then check out the Blue Guitar Amp X, which will be coming soon. So thanks guys for watching. I am Dr. McFarland, and thanks for talking about gear with me. We'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.